welcome to another episode of On the Capo Stand podcast. I am your host, David, and alongside, as in every week, our good friend Ahmed. Ahmed, how you doing?
I'm here, man. I'm here. That's all I'm gonna say.
I said you're here so you won't get fined. And our good friend John. How you doing, John?
Oh, I've been better. Same thing. Just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you, my brother. All right, so we're gonna go real quick into the topics. So first, I want to remind everybody that we are live on Twitch at On the Capo Stand, on X at On the Capo Stand. Excuse me, on YouTube at Davis Channel 76, Instagram at On the Capo Stand, Facebook Live at On the Capo Stand, TikTok at On the Capo Stand, Threads at On the Capo Stand, Blue Sky at On the Capo Stand, and of course, we can be found on audio at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So I want to thank everybody that's going to be watching this later on, and also everybody that's going to be listening to us. Thank you very much for giving us an hour, 90 minutes of your time. Appreciate that. First, I would like to start with, if you can put up the picture with Dan. I met with our good friend Dan Barrich from Nottingham, England, this past Saturday. Known Dan for many years. In fact, as you know, him and our good friend Taylor Williams joined me twice a year to do the mid-season and end of season review. Dan has incredible football IQ, super smart guy. He's also known as the English Line. If you haven't consumed his content, please go support him. He covers Orlando City, OCB, Pride. We share some of his content. He gets to go to the after game conferences. He has access to a lot of media, and it was great to see you, Dan. We tried to have Dan here on the show, but unfortunately he's on holiday with his family, and of course that's the priority. He's gonna be here stateside for 2 weeks. I hope you have a good time, Dan, and thank you for the kind words, my friend. A lot of respect for this servant of the club and a super fan. And Dan is in his analysis, he's the opposite of me. I just wanna. I'm the guy that wants to fight. He's the guy pushing me back. So thank you, Dan. Appreciate it, my friend. Not an easy weekend for football for yours truly. All my teams are making me suffer. Making me suffer. So let's go immediately into what happened at 7:30 p.m. this past Saturday at 655 West Church Street, Interco Stadium. And before that, I think we have a comment. If it can be read by any of you guys.
Johnny Ridner says, "Good evening, boys. Hope all is well." Hey, John.
Yes, my brother. I didn't get the chance to see you, my bro, this past weekend. I hope everything was well. Thank you very much for supporting us. All right, let's start with you, man. Impressions about Saturday.
Let's see. What the hell are we doing? That's my impression from Saturday. I don't know. You know that whole graphic that I posted up the other day? It's like somebody saw it and decided, let's just burn it and do none of it. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. There were some resemblances of plays at one point, but there were mistakes that we should not be seeing at this level. Like, there were just some crazy mistakes. And you know what? It's not even me. The people that were sitting around us in our section, there were mistakes happening right around us, and people are just like throwing their arms up in the air. Like, what is going on? Like, silly mistakes. I'm not even talking like silly, basic mistakes. I don't know what's going on with the team. Last week we won. I get it. We were playing a team that we should have won against, but we were also playing without the majority of our stars. And I felt like, although we won, we played well. We played well as a team.
Yes.
There is some gap in communication, and I don't know what it is, but it's frustrating to watch because we move the ball and then all of a sudden it's like somebody cut the power and nobody knows what's going on. There were missed passes like blatantly missed. Like people just don't know what's going on, man. I don't even know what to say. My wife was sitting there, her hands on her face. She's like, why do we do this to ourselves? She's like, why do I come to these games? I'm like, because we love it, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
But that's exactly part of it. It's like we always say, it's like, if you haven't cried, have you ever football, right? But it's that frustration. And it's not even, I feel like it's because it's the majority of the same team. If this was a new team, okay, totally different situation. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's not a new team. Let's be honest. I mean, there's a couple of new guys.
A handful, really. It's
It's
last
that,
year's game.
but it's the same team. So what the heck's going on? That's my frustration, man. I mean, the soccer gods gifted us a goal. I'm going to call it what it is, right? We didn't lose a match, but we can't let this happen. And by this, meaning the way we played, not the outcome. We can't play like this and expect to move up or anything. So
Absolutely. John.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, usually after the match, I'm pretty fired up and irritated after showing like what we had Saturday and then rewatch it. I'm like, it wasn't that as bad as I thought in person. This one, it was the exact opposite happened. I mean, you got guys having 15-yard passes, kicking it behind players. You got guys, my coach in high school sat here and we looked like Orlando City did, where we thought we could pass it through guys, and he's like, none of you have taken physics yet. And some of the older guys were like, yeah, we've taken intro to physics or whatever. He's like, okay, can the ball go through me through physics? And I don't remember physics anymore, whatever that principle is. And we were all like, no. And he's like, okay, then why are we doing it? And it's like, I don't know why my camera just went up, but I'll keep going. And
your audio's still good, brother.
And when we and it's like this team, that's the first thing this team doesn't realize is that they can't pass it through a defender. You have to pass it around him or over the top of him. You can't just kick it to a defender and hope it goes between his legs because you did it a couple times. It's cool. You get a cool reaction out of the crowd if it happens. But why are we, constantly trying to go for nutmegs and, whether it's a dribbling nutmeg or a passing nutmeg, and that's annoying. And then it's like, there's one principle in soccer, and it's how do you win a game? You score goals. And this team just this year, this time last year, and now this year, it's like, I'm a broken clock. Because it's like we're saying the same exact things we said a year ago. We thought they were fixed. Duncan McGuire gets hot and saves Poppy's job. And now Duncan's not hot. And Facundo Torres doesn't know which goal he's supposed to be going towards. And we got an attacking midfielder that doesn't know how to stay in the middle of the field. We've got a striker that tries to play attacking midfielder, but so slow that he can't outrun anybody and then tries to out dribble everybody and can't. It's a mess right now. And it's like, why can't we just do the simple thing, work the ball around, have good movements, and our players are good enough that we can pass the ball around. And if our movements and passing are good enough, that we should be winning these games. Our players are good enough. They're just playing stupid, boneheaded soccer right now. And it's like, guys, come on, like play the game the way it's supposed to be played and stop trying with all this fancy stuff and keep it simple. Kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. And it's like, they don't want to do that. And I'm just, it's aggravating. And, it's like, where do we go from here? Because at this point, you can't fire the players. You can't really get new players. Our front office in the offseason, everybody and their brother said we need to get a good attacking 10. Who'd we get? We got Lodero. And then we got a striker as a DP that we had open. I understand the striker a little bit. At the time, it looked like we were getting rid of Duncan McGuire. But guess what? We have another designated player that primarily sits on the bench And so far this year, when he comes on the field, we look immensely better.
Things happen.
But yet
Funny
he
how that
sits on the
works.
bench.
Funny how that works. Ahmed, if you don't mind reading the comments here.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend Muirico Suavi says, "Evening, guys. There's a lot to be excited about, but my biggest issue is that every team was terrible last year, and most of them have made big improvements. Meanwhile, we added a striker but play a 10. I think he says who's playing a 10, right?
Mhm.
Facundo Torres has regressed and has not gotten better since he arrived. In short, we have not developed him or helped him take the next step."
I agree. And I'm
All
gonna
true
say
words, my
this.
friend.
I'm gonna say no, absolutely. I'm gonna say this. Um, like John said, you win games by scoring goals, right? And I sat with our good friend David Hunt, who you saw in the picture there with Dan. He invited me, and we sat in the East Terrace, there in the middle of the pitch, and like a row ahead of Ahmed. And when Ahmed was talking about the people like shouting and pointing to things, it was a bittersweet moment because our fan base, you can call our fan base whatever you want, but our fan base has reached a level after 14 seasons where they know what wins games because they've seen it. Okay, they've seen it. Orlando, or perhaps the clubs they follow in internationally, they seen what wins games. And it's sad to me when the fan base is pointing out players are open, when fans are tired of trying to see our players go for the spectacular, when if you look at the goal was simple hustle. The goal that we scored was simple hustle. It was not tonight, we're gonna win. Simple. I always say it. If you put the ball in the box, in the mixer, things happen. There's deflections. There's penalties that happen. There's you never know. You never know. You gotta put the ball in the mix. And I was very proud of our fans because our fans were like, "Oh my God, no!" or screaming, "Give me my yellow!" at every foul. People know we're at a level, guys. We're at a level with our fans that they know. They watch the podcast. They read the vlogs. They do their homework. And I have to say that I'm very proud at the fact that even with the Red Hot Magic playing that same night, 23,000 people showed up to the game. Before we started the show, guys, we were talking about that. In fact, I talked to Dan about that. The days of, oh, the team is not doing great, I'm not paying for this, I'm not showing up, are a thing of the past. It's a thing of the past. People show up, people are supporting the team. It's the club's job to reward the people on the stands. And I finish with this. Personally, it's very difficult to podcast about a team where everybody and their mother knows what needs to happen, knows the adjustments that need to happen, but we don't see it on the pitch. That's, to me, is frustrating. You know what I'm saying? If my kids ask me, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. The other day, one of my sons is like, "Dad, the computer doesn't turn on." I'm like, "Do you check if it was plugged in?" No. Okay. So what do you want me to do? I'm being a magician. I charge $275 to go and tell surgeons and nurses, you just need to plug it in. I seriously, 10% of my calls last year was me showing up and plugging equipment in, or telling them that there's no power to the outlet. That's outrageous. That sometimes the problems are very simple and we're not looking at it. And I gotta before I give the microphone to the guys, I'm gonna use this example because it's universal. Everybody knows. Everybody's familiar with the Bible story of David and Goliath, right? With David Melech, King David. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you one thing about David. David was a musician. a warrior, a tactician, a scholar. He loved the ladies too much, in my opinion. Um, he was a lot of things. He was a king, right? But nobody thinks about that when you bring up King David. What do they think about? They think about killing the giant, right? Because in the minds of people, the extraordinary things are the ones that people remember. When we think about players that have gone through this club, um, and you can name anybody. DK, Kaka, uh, just anybody, okay? Just anybody. They always remember Greenwich. They always remember that extraordinary moment. That moment, I'm wearing the shirt here, Rodrigo. Everyone remembers that extraordinary moment when somebody said, you know what, not today, Satan. Not today. It doesn't matter what else you do. If you're a striker, your job is to score goals. You're a goalkeeper to prevent them, right? And I'm using this example because sometimes we fail to see this. King David was a lot of things in his lifetime, but nobody cares about that. All important to me. To me, I think, he did a lot of great things, but nobody cares. People care about that moment where he felt, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm wearing the shirt. Right? And that's and we as a people, as a human race, we tend to create holidays and statues to men and women that decide, if you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Somebody has to do it. And in sports, it happens all the time. And right now, we're looking for somebody in that locker room that says, you know what, guys, I'm tired of losing. And I'm gonna grab you by the seat of your pants and I'm gonna drag you to victory. We have asked the question before, and I would love to hear your answers, guys. We have asked the question before. Who do we have on that pitch that is like Kaká, that is like Nani? Those type of guys that say never. A lot of people trash my man Tesho Akindele, but that dude was a leader on the pitch. And twice we saw that man in his last season bang the winner at the death at our stadium. Guys, anything to add?
Go ahead, John.
I mean, like we said last week, we were hoping that guy was going to be Muriel, and then he goes out there and thinks he's on the Harlem Globetrotters of soccer, trying to nutmeg every person in his path, and that's not what a leader does. A leader does that's why, in my opinion, Janssen makes such a good captain, is he does the simple things. He doesn't try to do anything extravagant. He doesn't try to do anything super aggressive. Yes, he gets a little emotional with the referees sometimes. But sometimes that's what you need out of a leader. And, what I saw from Muriel Saturday, if you were on a, high school team or a club team or a travel team, you would have straight up been benched. Because for a player of his level, playing where he's played with his pedigree, the clubs he's played at, the competitions he's played in, for him to go out and think he can nutmeg every player that's out on that field, one, is disrespectful to the opponent. That's the one thing is in sports, you always have to respect your opponent.
Oh, yeah.
And two, what a leader does is it's more about the team than yourself. And he seemed more about himself on Saturday than the team. Cool. He's trying to play a 10. Congratulations. He's been a striker most of his life. Then play like a 10. A 10 distributes. A 10, makes that line breaking pass to break the defense to where all of a sudden, instead of being in shape, the defense is in chaos. We haven't seen any of that this year. And as much as I kind of got on Mauricio Pereira last year. That's what he did. He kept it very simple for the team, knew what he had to do, and did it. Made those line breaking passes, made the easy pass to attract a defender to spring somebody else. And the guy that we brought on that traditionally plays the number 10 is too busy being out next to the touchline than being in the middle of the field creating plays. He's more worried about being out on the touchline. It's like, I don't know, back to what I said earlier, I don't know where they go from here after that draw, because that should have been a loss. There were two chances, one in particular that the Red Bulls completely blew.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh yeah,
it was one-on-one with Gillespie, and the guy tripped over the ball or something. I don't quite remember.
Correct.
And it's like, we should have lost. The club should have lost that game. And where they go from here, I have no idea.
yeah. I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is we're not playing as a unit. There's just, I saw him post on social media something about like a team Faku and a team Muriel, right? But you see it. You see there's a disconnect on the field, on the pitch, and we can't have that. There's no way we're gonna get anywhere past where we are if we don't work whatever it is that they need to work out. And I'm not saying it's an ego thing. I'm saying it's a communication thing. Missed passes like we had, or bad passes, or just stupid mistakes. We can't afford to do that. That's what you do when you're doing developmental soccer.
For sure. Ahmed, you mind reading the comments?
Yeah. We have a message from Mark Rodriguez. He says, "Hey guys, I'll say it yet again. Why do we have starting DP strikers that can't seem to strike?"
Very good question. I mean, it's a great question. Listen, I know a lot of people are high on Muriel. I know for the Colombians, the guy can do no wrong. I think Muriel is a winner. You can see it, his poise, the way he runs on the pitch, the things that he tries to do. But is bringing back memories of Kaká in 2015, when you have a guy that has played in the biggest of stages, and he's surrounded by 10 other dudes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's what it looked like. One of the things that I did notice is that sometimes all the players are trying to do the same thing at the same time. Sometimes we get in the way of shots. We saw that last game. We saw this game. Sometimes we do not survey the pitch. We pass the ball to nobody, pass the ball across goal with nobody there for the tapping on the far post. We see defensively, in my opinion, we were very good with Robin Jansen, like John said, doing the simple things. If you don't believe me, go see the highlights. You see Jansen just doing simple things. One of them prevented a goal. And that would have been it. That would have been 2-0. See ya. To me, the penalty, too soft. I mean, we can argue, blah, 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 blah. But, Smith left his foot there, and the player made a meal out of it. And, don't get me started with VAR. VAR is supposed to override human error. And for the love of God, with us, it seems like that never happens. So if you look back, they failed to get a goal in transition. They had opportunities, some of them comical, guys. Comical, how they just let us off the hook. But, like I said, our goal, very proud. Jacqueline, in my opinion, is the starter. Has to be the starter from now on. To me, Jacqueline has to be the starter. And I'm gonna jump on the Jacqueline train for a second, because I was his biggest critic. Okay? I'm not afraid of telling people, hey, I was wrong, right? I was wrong. Or perhaps I misjudged the information that I had in front of me. I had said, listen, Jacqueline is the reigning MVP of MLS Next Pro and the Golden Boot. And you can say, David, that's incredible achievements. Absolutely. But to me, it's in a developmental league. He's a man playing with children. So okay, he dominated. To me, that means nothing because we play in MLS. We bring this kid, and I said to the people in my section, I said, if he can't score in MLS, it's time to let him go because we cannot be a refuge for mediocre players. And Jacqueline, and I say it again, overheard that fat middle-aged man in section 3 and said, "Oh yeah, watch this. Hold my beer." And the guy created something out of nothing. Incredible back heel. Yes, unfortunately, it was called on goal. But you know what? We got a point. He rescued us at the death, and people left with a smile. Jacqueline is to start. To me, I have said it. People have crap all over me. Duncan McGuire is playing for Duncan McGuire. Duncan McGuire is not the future. He's leaving in the summer. God bless him. All the best. We need to invest in the people that want to stay here, that want to win and lift trophies in Orlando. And that man is Jacqueline. A guy super humble. Took his licks, went to OCB. I had the pleasure of meeting his dad, his brother over there at the games. If you haven't been to an OCB game, I encourage you to do that. And at the end of the day, the man is producing. That's the beauty of it. The man is producing. I saw a Duncan McGuire that, you know what? Duncan McGuire is an athlete, super talented. I'm not taking away from that. But how we're playing right now is not conducive to the production that we had from that young man last year. Because we keep, a lot of people talk crap about Pereira. Pereira developed a system where he distributed the ball into dangerous areas. Right now, we're told that Facundo Torres is the number 10. And I'm sorry, Facundo Torres is not a creator. Facundo Torres is a finisher. Okay? We're not playing to the strengths of the players. I mean, God bless this young man, Kyle Smith, who has been an utility man in his whole time in Orlando. But he's not playing to his strengths right now. He's not playing to his strengths. He's not playing to what he does best. We're in a tight spot. He came in, great. We got a point. But what I see from our team right now is that we are improvising. We're improvising, and guys, I would like to have final comments on this. We have a comment as well, because we're gonna go to the deep end, to the dark web, after we close this topic, because we are the podcast where we're free to say whatever we want because we don't have strings attached, baby. That's the difference. Go ahead.
Yeah. Misael Rosa says, I'm not crazy about Jacqueline, but he's hungry, and maybe starting him will make Duncan and Muriel tighten up.
Pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, I think we said it last season. My fear for someone like Jacqueline is if he's brought on to the first team permanently, is that he sits. The reason he is how he is because he has that time on OCB. Someone like him needs to be on the pitch, needs to be playing, and I feel like he could be a difference maker if he's given that chance. He may not be the one scoring the goals, but he'll be making enough of a presence known that it'll cause situations like we had that day, right? He'll be attracting that attention that may free somebody else up to score. So I don't know. I think he could be a good piece of the puzzle at some point.
Absolutely. John, final words on this topic.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's obvious Duncan's not in form right now. It's obvious Facundo Torres isn't in form right now. Muriel, you can't tell because he's playing out of position. Why don't we play the two guys that look like they're the most in form out of anybody on the offense? One of which is a designated player who rode the bench most of last year and so far has rode the bench most of this year. And just see what happens. Like Ahmed said earlier, the game against Austin looked completely different than the game this past Saturday against New York. And in reality, there were two players on the field that were different than what there was this past Saturday between the two matches. And those players were Duncan McGuire. Nothing against him. What he did last year was special. And the other one was Facundo Torres. Fantastic player. Seems like he's in a little bit of a funk. Sometimes you need to, sit a match or two out. So why we don't go with what worked the week before, see what happens, and then adjust past that with this past match, I won't know. And why a professional soccer team 2 years in a row doesn't have any movement in the attacking third except for vertical runs. And our offensive strategy seems to be get it down, force it, not just get it down the left side, force it down the left side, and hope somebody gets a head or a body on a cross. And if it gets past the middle part of the field, it's going out of bounds on the other side. 2 years in a row, that's been our offensive scheme. Worked out last year. Somehow, Duncan got hot for a couple months. It's not working out now. And, something has to happen where that changes the mentality of, a good portion of these players on the team.
I agree in all accounts. While you were talking, John, it reminded me that we are digressing. Our set pieces are not productive. When we used to have corners, when Antonio Carlos was here, when Seb Hines was here, we could count on goals. I mean, in the past, putting the ball in the mixer, head it in, it just produced so many goals, so many fantastic wins. We're not doing that. The short corners, listen, I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't matter what team I support. Short corners to me, the short corners should be time wasting when you have secured the bag and you want to kill the clock. Short corners, I have not seen goals in Orlando come from short corners. In fact,
on Saturday, David, we did a short corner 2 times in a row on the as you're looking at the goal, we were attacking the left side. Short corner 2 times in a row, same exact play, basically the same exact result. And it's like this team has no creativity on the attacking end from a coaching and player standpoint. Whether that's
what's the definition of insanity, John?
Whether it's the players rubbing off on the coaches, or the coaches rubbing off on the players, or a combination of both. Whatever it is, it ain't working, people. We have a -6 goal differential. -6. 6 matches in, -6.
Well, that's what happens when you don't score goals and you eat 5 from your in-state rival. I gotta tell you this, guys. The most impressive corner kick that I've seen in Orlando City history was when we defeated DC United at the death, and Daryl Dike was at the end of that cross. That stadium, I am glad that the engineers welded that stadium perfectly, because that place wanted to explode. I have to tell you, I remember the ball. I had to go home to see what transpired because I was on the opposite side. When that ball went in, it was complete pandemonium. I was tossed around like a rag doll. Fans want to go to the stadium because it's fun, it's entertainment, right? And while I had a good time, met friends, had a good time, had a few sodas, a mediocre hot dog, and call it a day. The fact of the matter is, my friends, is we need to be exciting on the pitch. 23,000 people plus dressed up, got in their cars on a Saturday night, paid top dollar to go watch the football. And yes, we were rewarded because the people that were not producing for 85 minutes went to the bench. And we were brought in, like Ahmed said, hungry people. And if you look at that goal, and Ahmed, that's your cue for getting it ready. If you look at that goal, it's simple hustle, street hustling. That's what got the goal to me. And 6 games into the season, I'm a little concerned about Muriel. And I'm gonna tell you this: a lot of people are like, "Well, he's at the number 9. He's supposed to be scoring. He's Kara 2.0." The problem that Muriel has that Kara didn't is that Muriel sometimes has to fill in as a number 10 because there's really nobody there. I'm sorry to tell you. You could put the number on the back of Facundo Torres. I'm sorry, it's not 1988. Numbers to me don't mean anything. It's not numbers on the shirts, don't on the jerseys don't mean anything. Facundo Torres is not a number 10. Let me say that one more time. Facundo Torres is not a number 10. If you go back to the last two productive seasons this young man gave us, the goals and the rest, like the young people say, that happened basically as a winger, inverted winger, and as a nuisance in the box. That's basically what it is. The man is being bogged down by the responsibility of being the conductor of the orchestra. He's just a guitar player. He wants the solos, baby. Cut him loose. So, Profe, if you're listening, I know your family watches us, which is unhealthy because we're not gonna criticize you in a minute. We're gonna burn you pretty good. I think that we're gonna get there. So let's go ahead and watch the equalizer, and this is on the 80th minute. The people that left, people don't guys don't people don't learn. You do not leave early. Filthy, just filth, just filthy. Look, defeated. Rebels was like, how did they get us like this? Not with a spectacular, not with a bicycle kick, not with a laser beam from top of the D. No, this was just uh, 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 you're playing in the street. Next goal wins because it's dinner time and the street lights are on. Now, for all you Gen Xers, you know what that means.
Can I just say something though? While we're
Yeah,
looking
go
at
ahead,
this,
brother.
we were talking about this last week. Look at the pitch. Look at the pitch behind the goal.
Right, I know. We touched this. It looks disgusting. I'm sorry. I'm
I'm just
embarrassed.
like, I just noticed it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's really bad. I have to tell you. And Pride played the day before, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And you look at the silence. That's uncalled for. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. The worst I've seen our pitch.
Yeah,
The
seriously.
worst I've seen our pitch.
But see, guys, I mean, Ahmed, if you could pull that up right before the crosses struck, the wide out
Yep.
angle,
Yeah, I'll
and
bring
look
it
how
up.
we got people. Everybody's in position. Everybody is in a good position on that goal. So even if the New York player doesn't touch it, somebody's probably putting it in. You know, at least getting a decent shot on it. Right there. I mean, look at that. There's 3 people right there. We got the backside. We got that. I think that's Dagger on the backside in case the ball squirts through. You know, could it be a little bit better? It's a little bit clustered in there, yes, but we got guys in position to make a play. We got a guy back post, we got a guy far post close, we got a guy in the middle in Duncan. Ojeda's the back post, and then we got a guy late back post and Dagger Dan. That's as simple soccer as you can get when it comes to in the attacking third when the ball gets to the goal line. That's as simple as it gets. And guess what? It forced New York into a mistake. We
Yeah.
didn't even have them
Absolutely.
outnumbered in that position. They had us 5-4 in the box,
Yep.
and we forced them into a mistake because our positioning was decent. Like I said, not even good, decent. And then it's like we have these other players in, and that's one thing I will say Duncan does do very well is his positioning is typically very good when the ball
Yes.
gets into the corner.
It-
His
it-
movement
uh,
when the ball's not in the corner is to
mhm.
be, there's a lot to be wanted there.
Ahmed, leave that there for a second. I would like to add to what John's on point analysis. If you look at it, you have Jacqueline threatening the goal. You have Duncan looking for the second ball. Ojeda looking for the second ball, and on top of the box, you have DDT in case the ball spills on top of the area and he can recycle or shoot from far. And I believe who's far left. On top of the screen, that guy right there.
That's
Who's that?
Faku, I think. I think that's Faku.
Okay, this is what we're talking about. This is what happens when people know their positioning and they're not stepping on each other. This is just gorgeous. This is I want to take a picture of this hanging on my wall. Maybe make it a 16 10 by 16 easy. So, I mean, this is simple football, friends. Simple football is what got us the goal, and we have a comment that sort of highlights what we just said. If you don't
Yep.
mind,
Yeah. Royal One says Red Bulls came into hostile territory and played great,
we
and you
we
cannot
have said
argue
that.
that 100%.
We
Absolutely.
have said that, my friends. I have to say it. We have a lot of here in Orlando, and I speak for the fan base. I'm very confident when I say this. Here in Orlando, we have a lot of respect for Red Bulls. Their fans have been very gracious to us when we played them at home. Same here. We have a healthy rivalry. There's no animosity, and that there have been a great opponent. That plain and simple. And Red Bulls always play us very technical. And
Except for
I
when we
have to
beat them
say,
5-1 in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup.
yes, that was a complete debacle. I feel for them because we've been on the other end of that
So
many
real quick,
times.
David, before we
Go ahead,
move
go ahead.
on, my dad texted me because he doesn't know how to comment on YouTube. He's old.
No problem.
Um, if you notice, and I noticed it, but I didn't say it, and he reminded me about it. If you look, we're not going to go back and diagnose that video. It makes you horrible listening for those on audio. But if you look at that goal, watch Duncan how he moves away from goal slightly, and he opens that passing lane up in the lane up there for Jacqueline to potentially get a shot on, which obviously he misses. But again, that pass coming into a dangerous area with players in position is what caused that goal.
Absolutely.
Not a nutmeg out dribbling somebody and hoping you beat them.
Absolutely. That's the frustration that I think John, Ahmed, and myself share, and many of you guys. Definitely section 33, 34 there. I heard you guys. It's that, let's stop going for the spectacular. The next home game it's going to be at the end of the month of April, 23rd, if I'm not mistaken.
27th. 27th, it's
27th.
against Toronto.
Plenty of time to fix that pitch. Plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So we that's the end of the game. We got a well-deserved point at home against a great opponent. I'm not here to take anything away from Red Bulls. They in my opinion, they were worthy of taking the 3 points. Unfortunately for them, fortunately for us, they couldn't contend with Mr. Jacqueline, the Fighting Irish. Definitely came out and put it where it belongs. Our next topic is a little controversial because you know I have said it. We titled this the Pareja Quagmire, and I have to tell you guys that that I respect Oscar Pareja. I really have a lot of respect for our manager, and I have said it uh, many times that we can disagree with the final product without having to insult Oscar, the man, the person. Oscar is, I'm take it from me. Okay, I went to the Pareja perspective with my guard up. That man hugged me. I was butter. All right. He says sweet nothings in my ear. I'm like, all right, prophet, from here to eternity. Oscar Pareja has an idea how he wants to play. Um, Oddly enough to me, and I'm gonna say something that my grandpa used to say, and it brings me a smile because my sports fandom, my passion for competition comes from my maternal grandfather. My grandfather used to say, in times of emergency, any tool is a hammer. and he tools a hammer, and that's what happened when we won versus Austin, and what happened this past weekend against Red Bull. You know, we were up against the. I personally, my cardiologist will tell you that he will wish that we played and secured the bag by the 50th minute. Because me personally, I can't. I don't know about you guys, but many times I say it to anybody that is sitting next to me. 80th minute, that's when the game to me starts. The cardiac cats is a real thing, and I think one thing that and I'll finish because I know John. It's like a racehorse ready to come out. Trust me. I had to. The man had to measure his words, but I think it's a message that we all deserve to hear. Um, One of the things that I am disappointed to hear is when respected people in the fan base, people that know the football, people that come from countries where football is a way of life, s- criticize the club in a respectful manner. In a respectful manner.
How's practice, bud?
The problem is that sometimes there's people in the fan base that like to like shut down the criticism, if it's warranted or not. I think healthy debate, which this is what this podcast is all about. That's why I decided to name it On the Capo Stand, because you're there, you got people's attention. Um, the fact is that I see a consensus where streaming the message that podcasters do, uh, it just limits us to propaganda. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I have said it before. I don't get a press pass. I don't get a free ticket. I pay for my ticket with my hard earned work. And I'm gonna tell you, if the club is doing bad, it's doing bad, and we're gonna criticize the members of the team when we feel that they're not living up to the expectation. I feel we can do much better because the talent is there. And I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Maybe Oscar's dog died. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. That's we hear it's speculations and opinions and things like that. We have never utilized this platform to hurt anybody purposely. We have never used this platform to deflate the spirit, the core of the team or the fan base. In fact, anybody that has met me personally, not in Twitter, not but people that have met me personally, you know that I'm a very positive, very kind person, and but I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. I want to lift trophies, and I think that for the most part, a lot of people want to be on the show. I'm sorry, want to go on social media to dunk on 13-year-old kids, burner accounts, and all that. Listen, I want to win games, and I want to see my team because it's my club win games. What's happening right now is not working out. So I'm gonna give the microphone to John. And sir, floor is yours.
Yeah, first, let's take Jim D's comment. I don't think we've read that yet. I'll read it. Kind of leads into what I'm going to be saying. So Jim D said, I don't believe all our players are regressing. This is virtually impossible. We take talented players and say this is how and where you're going to play, making nines and the tens, midfielders and the right backs, etc. So for those of you that are on X, follow the Orlando City, chapter of X, side of X, if you will. Sure, you saw this. For those of you that don't, this is for you. I completely agree with this individual and what they said. I used to watch the press conferences pretty much religiously up until basically COVID, because I was sick and tired of hearing the reporters that are supposed to tell you what's going on with the club just asking cupcake questions. Oh, what went wrong today, coach? How do you think the boys did today, coach? What do you think you can improve on? Just your basic standard questions. And this individual on Twitter, friend of the show, brought
We
up
can call him by name, John. We can call him by name. Everybody knows. It's our
JJ.
good friend JJ,
JJ,
and
yeah.
a guy that I have a ton of respect for, and who gave you an opportunity to podcast when nobody would grab some idiot like myself out of social media. But go ahead.
So, he basically says how he's sick of that as well. And he's 100% correct. And it's like, if the club won't let people, the club wants everything to be touchy-feely around it. Everything's great. There's, nothing's on fire. We don't want to push too much with our questions. We don't want anybody making the players or the coach feel bad about what's going on. And this is 2 years in a row that we've had the same sort of discussion. 2 years in a row, the team has looked really, really bad to begin the season. 2 years in a row that we've been out of the playoffs come April 1st. And remember, two-thirds of the team two-thirds of the teams in the MLS are going to make the playoffs. So if the reporters that are given their press passes aren't willing to ask those questions, if press passes aren't given to, and I'm not even saying us, I could care less about getting a press pass. And I'm pretty sure that goes for, my other two colleagues. They could care less. They're perfectly happy paying our price of admission, paying our season tickets every year for our, where our standard seats are. But if they're not going to let somebody who's dedicated the time that somebody such as JJ has, and the energy as somebody such as JJ has, and I'm not even saying him in particular, I'm saying somebody like him, to this club and knows the sport like he knows it. And there's people out there that know the sport just as well, if not better than JJ does, that does have that press pass, but they don't want to lose their credibility by asking that, and lose their credentials by asking that. And that's a real problem with this club. I think it all stems from who the commissioner of the league is and how they, the individual player salaries are reported, and what's allowed to, what the coaches are allowed to say at a press conference about the league or about officials, different things like that. I think that it all stems from that. But the questions have to be asked this year. We're playing worse than we were last year. And X's Twitter, whatever, is quiet with people saying Papi out, except for one guy. One person that has the I'm not going to say it, is brave enough to question this club on X. And it needs to start happening. It needs to start happening now, because something has to change. Last year, I said it earlier, Papi's job was saved by Duncan McGuire getting hot and staying hot. And unless somebody starts getting hot all of a sudden, Papi's going to go. It's going to be June, July. We're going to be well below the playoff line. We're going to have a negative at this rate in the season, with a approximately, quick math, negative 20 goal differential. If my quick math's correct, I'm sure somebody can correct me on that. And I'm sorry, that's not good enough. The team that I pour every other weekend, starting the first weekend in March, ending sometime in the middle of October, pour my heart and soul into. And I'm not the only one that does that. David and Ahmed do as well. So does about 15 to 20,000 other people. Pour their heart and soul into it. But we're supposed to just be okay with not even close to good enough. Oh, Papi, we got a trophy with Papi. Well, guess what one trophy is supposed to equal? 2. Guess what 2 trophies is supposed to equal? 3. It's not supposed to be 1 and then all of a sudden, oh, we're good. We won 1. We can suck the rest of our existence on this earth. And I know this is going to turn some people off, or make some people roll their eyes, but I'm a huge Ohio State football fan, and I know a lot of people in the state don't like Urban Meyer, but he used to have a saying: "What's the best thing about being 1-0? You get to go 2-0."
Yep.
Best thing about winning one trophy is winning another, which is winning another. And this team is nowhere close right now to winning any trophies this year, except for the wooden spoon. Jim D and I had a funny interaction about the wooden spoon last week, or I think it was last week. But you know, and I'm still going to show up to the matches, still going to be there to support the boys, but it's not good enough.
Go ahead, Ahmed, before I throw some downrange.
Honestly, man, I mean, I think John really covered it all. The one thing I would say is I did watch the press conference. There was a press conference posted, and I was surprised because Oscar did take some um of the responsibility. He did take some of the responsibility for what needs to happen and the changes that need to happen with the players. That's probably the only thing that made me feel better about that whole press conference.
That's commendable. That's
You
commendable
know,
from
but
the chief.
because you have to, I mean, come on, you can't. How many more? Like, what other excuses can we make? Even as if I wanted to make excuses to somebody I brought. I have a friend who I brought to a game last season, and it was he lives in Orlando, and it was against Nashville, and Nashville won, and he was like having the time of his life. But what kind of excuses can you make, right? When it's the same team, we have all these expectations, so we're running out of excuses. And you know, I don't care if which camp you were on last season or which one you're going to be on this season. You run out of excuses either way, right? We have the same players, we have the same coach. So to John's point, something needs to change. That's it. Something needs to change. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
That's
That's
the
it.
definition of insanity.
Exactly.
5 years we had Oscar. World football tenure for a manager's 18 months. In 2018, our worst year in MLS, it's important to revisit this horrendous season because, funny enough, I was at the last game with JJ. Only 10,000 people showed up to watch us lose. We won 8 games out of 34. We lost 22 games. We tied 4. And we finished with a goal differential of 31. We finished 11th in the East, and we did not win. We did not win. I don't even know. I don't even think it's the word. We did not end up with the wooden spoon because San Jose, God bless them, had a worse season with 21 points. We had 28 points. And one of the things I would like to remind you is, in theory, when you start a season, you start with 34 points because you got 34 games. They're all tied. They're all nil until you play them. Okay? You start with 34 points. Finishing below 34 points is a disastrous season. We had that in 2018. I sat there, baby. I paid for my ticket and I sat there and we got it. Ears, nose, any orifice. They just put the goals in. And it was really tough to watch that. But, you know, you don't follow a team for the trophies or for players or for wins. You do so because you found yourself a place. You found a place where you belong. We have quoted that incredible quote by the Arsenal and Dutch international. His name escapes my mind right now. But the fact is, friends, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this very, very honestly. I love Orlando City, the club, and and the people that work for Orlando City. I see them with envy because I wish I could be doing what they're doing. Um, I Since I come from poverty and I was born 50 miles south of the starting line, I had to fight for everything. When I was a kid, my grandparents would tell me, "Go to school, get good grades, or you're gonna end up picking up coffee and cutting sugar cane," which in modern Puerto Rico that doesn't exist. It did for them. um, and I work really hard, and I'm in a career field with that. I'm very happy, and I make good money, and I get to have the business card with my name on. It says engineer, you know, and I'm very happy about that. But if you ask me what I would rather be, I'd rather be a kid manager. I'd rather be the guy that takes care of the pitch. I envy the guys that get to make a living in football with a lot of envy because it's what brings the passions in me. And mind you that I work for a company where we work on surgical equipment that changes people's lives, not only in Florida but in other states. And that doesn't bring me the satisfaction that it would to make sure that the socks match the pants, match the jersey. I have to be honest with you. Um, I am thankful to the Rollins who had a vision about creating a football club in the states. I'm thankful that they chose Orlando for that to take place. I am thankful for the players that have worn our jersey. To me, it was very important when we had the Honor That History Night, although the result wasn't there for us. But the fact of the matter was, to me, it was important to recognize the people that have that all the people that had put their brick on the wall to create what we have. And there's a lot of fans that love this club and that have been there from the very beginning. What I can't stand for is when club communications, okay, when club communications creates a wall where not every podcaster can have a press pass because they have put a rule, archaic in my opinion, where if your podcast doesn't have a website to post uh, blogs or news pieces, then you don't get to participate. You don't get to ask questions after the games and all that. Traditional media is dead when it comes to covering MLS. The local TV stations dedicate 5 to 10 seconds for to Orlando City in their broadcasts. That's a fact. I'm not making it up. And because our content is exclusive of Apple Plus, there's nothing to gain for the TV stations. You know, when Fox was the channel that which it did for many years that was televising our games, man, they couldn't stop talking about us. They will invite players, they will invite people to the morning TV show, newscast, and the afternoon and all that. But now, there's no money to be made, so up to you. Second, on that respect, the newspaper is dead. The other day, I was driving past the former headquarters of the Orlando Sentinel, and you can see the base where the trucks will come in and be loaded with newspapers. Tons of newspapers will come out of that place. It's dead. There's no beat writer covering the club. Okay, the people that are covering the club are fans themselves, and the three gentlemen that you see on your screen, we pull together $450 to a year to get the license for broadcasting through StreamYard. We take time away from our lives to sit in our kitchen tables or offices and showcase the podcast to you guys. And to me, when our colleague and our friend JJ makes the question, hey, why isn't that nobody is asking the tough questions? I revert back to the Pareja Perspective event this year, where us, excuse me, us, saying me, David, representing the podcast, and our friends from OC Fan TV were the only ones that asked questions about the whys and the whos and the whens. Everybody else was asking, Prophet, what's your favorite ice cream? Do you have a favorite band? Boxes or briefs? Idiots. The opportunity that you were given was to ask the tough questions. You're an investor in the club. Because I don't know about you, but me, nobody gifted me the money to go pay for my season ticket. I work really hard, guys. I work really, really, really hard to pay my bills, raise my family, and provide my children with the childhood that I wish I had. My father and my mother loved me. They lacked money that I have now for my children to do better, and hopefully my grandchildren will do better. It's the American dream. That's what the American dream is all about. You're an investor in the club. That opportunity was the opportunity to grill the manager, grill the man that you have entrusted your club to. But again, we the opportunity. Some people wasted it. Not your friend David Valentin, because I was the only one that said to Prophet, say, "Hey, Prophet, I wanted you out. I wanted you gone. The Papi specials are boring football. These fans don't like that." And to our good friend Zach from OC Fan TV, he asked some incredible technical question, which escapes my mind, but put Pareja on his heels. Okay, when the club gives us opportunities to meet with the manager, let's take them. You can be critical, you can be demanding as a customer, as the fan base, without having to be obscene. And I think, I'm sorry, and I apologize that I'm taking over the microphone so much, but I just think that this is a moment of soul searching for us. It is okay to criticize the club. I was told once on social media, on Twitter particularly, that the club didn't owe me anything. I disagree in all counts. This person, their son works for the team, so I guess she felt that her opinion trumped mine, but I don't care. I don't care. The fact of the matter is, the club owes us entertainment, wins, and a product that we can be proud of. So when it's time to pay the $25 for parking, the gas, the tolls, and I live close to the stadium, there's people that drive up to 4 hours to go watch those matches. There's people staying till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning in Europe watching those matches. In Latin America, paying for Apple Plus, which is expensive when you exchange into local currency. There's people doing that. So the club owes us because it's our club. If the pandemic taught us anything, is that without football, with football without the fans, it's just 22 guys kicking a ball. And I see some comments. I would like to go to those. And I finish with this, my friends. I finish with this. Winning is conceived on the training pitch and is born in the hearts of the players. If our players do not believe that they can win, we can be on the wall singing till our vocal cords burst. We can be clapping, jumping like monkeys in the terraces, fighting with the universe on social media, and still we're going to lose. We're going to lose because the players have to believe. I personally don't think right now we have somebody on the pitch that is grabbing those men and taking them to glory. Hopefully in the summer we can find somebody, or perhaps somebody in our roster can wake up and realize that they get paid thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to play a game while the rest of us idiots are fighting in traffic and doing real work. Okay? Somebody needs to go to that locker room and say, "You are blessed. You get paid." How is it fair that I work on equipment that saves people's lives, that it's used for orthopedic surgery, back fusing, hip replacements, okay, changes people's lives? Why is it that I make just north of 6 figures, and some kid that just got drafted from college last year is making $200,000 for kicking the ball around? How is that fair? How is it fair that Messi makes $200,000 a week for kicking for? He's not even playing right now. Think about that. Somebody needs to tell them, you need to go and you need to wrestle and dazzle that fan base because they deserve it. They paid for it. That's that. Guys, let's go ahead and read the comment.
All right, I got it. Jim D Says, I've said it before, put Facu, Ojeda, Muriel, Duncan on another team. Would they play the same? Be used the same? I just don't think so. We are tactically handcuffing these players. When we acquired Muriel, I said jokingly Poppy would turn him into the best number 8 in the league. I was kidding.
I remember, Jim, and you were
This
right.
is what happens. And
That is very true. John.
David, just to piggyback on what you said
Yeah, brother, go ahead.
about all the stuff with the press conferences. When you met with Oscar, he welcomed those comments. He welcomed
Sure
those
did.
questions. So it's like the tough questions. I'm not sure what the problem is, because the only people who have a problem with it seems to be the front office. Because
I agree.
If the players, I'm sure if you were to ask them those questions, they're fine with it. The managers, they expect it. That's part of what you do. And honestly, it's like if you watch any of press conferences outside of the US, that's what happens. Those press conferences are not fun events. And sometimes they are, but you expect to be able to answer those tough questions. You don't expect people to filter out the questions you get so you can get the easy questions, because they know outside of the US, they know that the fans want those answers.
You're listening to that, Jackie? You're listening to that? Let people ask the questions that the fan base wants to ask and hear those answers. I'm going to call you by name because we all know you don't like me. We all know that. It's common knowledge. You dislike me. You email Luis Pineda at Loud and Proud Orlando podcast every Tuesday morning on comments that I said. Come on. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead, Ahmed. Because I got no filter tonight.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where that came from, but that's okay. but that's what I mean. It's like those press conferences, like you watch those press conferences, and it's very clear that those questions are like the softball questions. They're not asking the questions that we're thinking, right? That they're thinking. Why not? And it's even fine if they don't have an answer. I would accept that, right? But come on, like capitalism 101, but we're all watching. We're all watching, and we want to hear the questions to the answers that we're all thinking, not the ones that you wrote down on a piece of paper, or somebody wrote for you to ask.
It goes back to the off season when who was on the telecast for the draft? Do you guys remember which one of the guys? Was it Ricardo?
This past year?
Yeah,
I think it was Ricardo. Is usually Oscar, Ricardo, Luis.
Well, no. One of the front office guys, I can't remember which one it was interviewed during the draft.
Oh, Jared Dillon. I believe it was Jared Dillon, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, whoever it was. I don't think that's right, but whoever it was, it's not important. They asked, if they were going to sign, the club was going to sign any more players. And his answer was like, yeah, we got a few in mind. And there was no follow-up to that. like every other league, whether it's soccer worldwide or here in the States, like you usually hear somebody say a little bit of something about the type of player or the position they're looking for, but there's nothing. There wasn't even a follow-up to that question. And what did everybody, almost any fan who knows anything about soccer, what's the one big piece that we lost this offseason? A true number 10.
Yeah, true number 10.
Cool. We signed Lodero. I was thinking when we signed him, truly thought, oh, that's a good backup piece to come off the bench late in the games, see wins out, play here and there when our real number 10, when our starter wants to, is either injured or on international duty, whatever it is. And they didn't bring anybody in. And me and the guys from OC Fan TV, I forget which match it was, we're talking at halftime. We just happened to run into each other. And we both had the same idea of the perfect number 10 for us to have brought in this past year. You guys know who I'm going to say. And it's just kind of a pipe dream. I understand the player has to want to come here and all that. Mm-hmm. But the player's last name's Dybala. He's the starting number 10 for Roma in Italy. His release clause on January 1 of this year, per his contract, dropped to $12 million.
Doable.
The guy is making, and this is transferred over to US dollars, is making right now about $4.1 million. So we have these owners that come in here a couple years ago, say, oh, we're going to win trophies. We're going to bring in big players. We're going to do all this. Name one big player that they've brought in. Muriel, I want to consider as a big player. They didn't bring in Nani. Faku, you could say he's an up-and-coming player. They haven't done anything to put their money where their mouth is. Not one thing. So we're sitting here. Our little brother down south is doing all this, whether it's legal or not, who cares? You're not, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, you gotta be Ric Flair, baby. 4 horsemen.
And we're sitting here and we're bringing in a 34-year-old MLS lifer and a 32-year-old bench player that from Italy. Those were our two biggest signings this past offseason.
And let's not forget that one of our DPs keeps riding the bench.
Yep.
That's Ojeda.
And to go back to Jim D's comment, the first part of that about if Faku and the other guys, Ojeda, Muriel, and Duncan played on another team, would they play the same or be used the same? We said on this podcast that Kara wasn't being used properly. That's why Duncan took it over. Duncan's a completely different player than Kara is.
Yeah, kicked him out of the league.
So it's like you come in here promising the fans big things when the owner started. The front office and our manager is talking big things coming into the season. Oh, it's MLS finals or bust. You have the manager saying, well, you don't win trophies in March. You win them in December, which partly true, but you got to be there in December in order to win a trophy.
That's true.
If you're sitting there in October and you're in 10th place, you're not playing for anything come December. You're playing for let's see who we can get.
No, you're playing. You're playing to see who gets the nice spot on the couch. That's what it is.
You're out on your boat during the day catching fish in the Gulf of Mexico, or playing golf on the golf course that you live on. So you're not playing for a trophy, and it's like we're in a worse spot than we were last year. Last year we only had 2 losses. We had the same amount of goals scored, which is 5. And this year we've given up 5 more goals. Yes, it was a bad game against Miami. Still 5 more goals that we've given up. And I don't know if I said it, but 1 more loss. This is not good enough. This is 2 years in a row we've done this. This is not good enough. For the Wilfs, for the front office, for Poppy, for the players, this is not good enough.
All right, we got some comments on it.
Yeah, Misael Rosa, just to piggyback off what John said, he said, I knew that was coming because they own the Vikings. The Vikings have been mediocre for years. Seems like they're just about making money.
And they're making money, friends. Listen, Jared Dillon, I'm going to throw you a bone, my friend. He said it when we met with the season ticket holders, and he said, hey, I have no power, responsibility, or action on what happens on the pitch. Beyond that, I'm gonna get you guys the best game day experience, and I believe he has delivered. I mean, if you look at the technology that has been invested on the stadium, the quality of the game day entertainment, the quality of the before and after, all the improvements for security, Jared Dillon has delivered. And if I am quick to criticize the club on some things, I also have to be quick on doing that. To me, and I said it here on this podcast. And by the way, all these things that we say are recorded for anybody that wants to cross-check our comments. We stand by what we say. We don't backpedal, unlike other people. The game against Minnesota, I remember seeing a young woman with the little thing that says, it's my first game, saying, this is incredible. I need to come back. We lost. And this person is saying, I need to come back. This was fun. I sat next to a family first game, 0-0 result, opening day. Already asking when's the next game.
Hmm.
People that want to follow a club that won the thrill of the beautiful game will return. Glory hunters, people that just want to be seen on a place that is happening, curious people, they're gonna come, they're gonna leave. I was shocked. By the way, there's people in England are having a holiday thanks to the Easter holiday. By the way, I hope that all our friends that celebrate Easter had a good one. Um, there was a lot of British people there, a lot, a lot of returnees too, people that have been here before and made sure that an Orlando City game was part of their holiday. And that's something that I have expressed to Jared, to the club. We cannot neglect our international fan base. We cannot do that. So that's all great, but the what's happening on the pitch to me is concerning. Misael touched the what a lot of people always tell me, hey, look at the condition of the Vikings. They're mimicking here. Well, we are not the Vikings, so we need to. If the Vikings fan base is okay being middle of the pack and mediocre, that's their business. Okay, if the Vikings had David Valentine in their fan base, I will be the squeaky wheel that I have been. I've been the thorn on people's rear ends in this club since the beginning because, again, I demand that my club wins games and goes for gold. I'm sorry. I'm not being um, difficult when I say those things. And I know that we're running out of time, but I want to finish with this. Do not let people make you feel guilty because you are demanding excellence from people who are professionals in what they do. If you go to a doctor that is about to operate on your brain and you tell him, doctor, do the best you can, and you wake up from anesthesia, if you wake up at all, and they tell you, hey, you're paralyzed from the neck down, and you are like, hey, it's okay, doctor, you try your best. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe me anything because if you wouldn't have operated, I would have been dead. So I'd rather take being paralyzed from the neck down than being dead. That's fine. But if somebody would have told you, hey, if you would have demanded excellence, the best surgeon, best everything, you could have walked out of this hospital and still be alive. You know what I'm saying? Outcomes can be different. Outcomes can be positive, can be negative, depending on who we entrust. You want to build a great house, you go with the best architect. How many times, my friends, you need a guy to do a handy, like paint your house or change your cabinets or something? And what's the first thing you ask? You ask your friends and family, do you have somebody that you can recommend? Because right now the word escapes me, but your experience, your reputation, that's the word I was looking for. Your reputation speaks for yourself. Oscar Pareja has lifted trophies. Great. Let's lift another one. The players that we have in our squad, they have played national teams, they have lifted trophies at every level they have ever played. We have players with incredible stories. We have Jansen working in the horseshoe factory. We have Smith working as a accountant before walking and paying $250 to go on a trial with Louisville City. We have stories like that, and those guys wear our colors and wear our badge. It's perfectly okay to look at those guys in the eye and say it's not good enough. It's okay to look at Ricardo, who I have a ton of respect. I know, Ricardo, they told you in the club not to talk to me anymore. That's fine. I get that part. And I'm going to say it publicly because, I don't care. Because, somebody tried to, betray my sources and all that. Okay, I get it. Hopefully you got brownie points, John, for doing that. And it's not the guy I'm looking at here. You know who you are. So the fact is, my friends, is that it's okay to look at Luis, at Jared, demand excellence from our club, because I don't know about you, but I only have one Orlando City. It's a club that represents my city. It's a club that represents my community. When I sit there, clad in purple is the police officers, the doctors, the janitors, the chefs, the people that make this community run and be a great place to live. Those are the people in the stands, and they pay their hard-earned money to go see their team win. And I believe that we can make it if we have a change of course. And Oscar and the boys know that they have people supporting them. My personal belief, and I'll finish, is that the last two games have shown that people believe in this club, believe in the football, and want us to see us win. 23,000 people showed up the last two games with competition down the street from the Orlando Magic. That to me tells me that our fan base has matured. They understand the assignment and they understand that football is not for those that are seeking instant gratification. Ahmed, I think we have another comment.
Yeah, Jim D's piped in. He said, I do think Poppy will turn it around, but this whole process every year seems inefficient and ultimately non-productive. And thank you, Jim, because I
Thank
think
you, Jim.
that's what we're all feeling right now.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Any final words on this special episode of On the Capo Stand podcast?
I think we've said it all, David.
I do have
Okay.
one thing before we go.
Yeah,
We
brother.
looked over it last week. I'm pretty sure it's still
Yes.
going on. The brewery Broken Strings down the road from the stadium over towards OBT is having financial difficulties. They've been a place for supporters, fans before and after the matches to gather, have a drink. They're going through it right now financially. They've had some equipment breakdown, and anybody that knows anything about the brewery process or keeping anything cold at a high amount, high quantity, it costs a lot of money. They're at risk of shutting down permanently because they can't afford to operate anymore. We just posted in the comments the link to the GoFundMe. So give what you can if you can.
Yes.
If you can't show up, next match day, hopefully they'll be open. And grab a pint and try to help them stay open because it has been a important place for the community around this club.
I join John on that sentiment. We shared that on our social media. So if I've been to the brewery, great beer, great product, great place to pregame. Go support a small local business. That's what it's
Yes.
all about. When it
Absolutely.
comes to football. I will like to remind everybody that there's a lot of football being played this week. We have a bye, by the way, in case you were wondering why we are not talking about the next game. This is a time for us to rest, soak our feet, meditate, soul search, and move forward. I wish that this bye would have gone later in the season, perhaps after the brutal work that it's ahead for us. But I'll take it. Tomorrow, the U.S. Open Cup resumes with some incredible games. Too many to name here, but I encourage all of you to continue to support the U.S. Open Cup, our national trophy for over 100 years. I've been watching a lot of U.S. Open Cup, still just as beautiful as always, and it angers me that selfishness kept us out of it this year. Important to highlight, CONCACAF Champions continues. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., Columbus is facing Tigres. I guess we're all Columbus crew tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's to me the game that is highlighted. And then at 9 p.m., New England is going to be facing Club America. I believe that's going to be an incredible match. Club America flying high at the moment, and New England is at the bottom of the East. It's going to be super interesting. Wednesday, we have more U.S. Open Cup with USL League One teams going at it with lower league football. the game to highlight is everybody's favorite second team, as they label themselves, for Madison, going after Chicago Fire 2. That same night at 8 p.m., uh, Miami is playing against Monterrey. I don't have to tell you, I was born and raised a Rayado fan from 5 minutes ago. So let's see what the football says. Saturday, to go quickly over the games: Miami at Colorado, Vancouver at Toronto, Columbus at DC, New York City at Atlanta, LAFC at LA, Galaxy, New England at Charlotte, Cincinnati at New York, St. Louis at Dallas, Nashville at Philadelphia, Minnesota at Salt Lake, Austin at San Jose, Chicago at Houston, Seattle at Montreal, and then Sunday, Kansas City at Portland. Our next game, my friends, it's going to be we're gonna have back-to-back away games, and that's gonna be April 13th at 7:30 in our nation's capital when we visit DC United. Important game, in my opinion. We definitely need to strive to get the 3 points. Also, I would like to mention that in the Generation Adidas tournament being played in Bradenton for MLS Academies, unfortunately, our U17s are out of it, falling 2-0 against LA Galaxy. And our U15s had a 3-0 victory over New England Revolution and still added. So for that, stay up in contact with um, social media. And I believe in the middle of this tournament, our boys will have their quote unquote home opener against Inter Miami's Academy. I'm sorry, Inter Miami 2. So it should be a game to be watched as well. Guys, anything else before we say goodbye? Oh, we have some comments, I believe. Let's see. I hate leaving anything untouched.
Misael Rosa said perfect because it's WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, look at that. Okay, very good. So it works out for a lot of our folks. So there you go. Beautiful. Guys, anything else before we call it a day?
That's it for me tonight.
No, sir. I'm
Okay,
good.
fantastic. Well, thank you very much for we have 29 people here on with us. We had a few more than that watching us live. Thank you very much, Misael. Thank you for the message, my friend. Thank you again for joining us. Once again, we will remind everybody you can comment. You can come on the show live. We have unfortunately I have forgotten about mentioning that. If for the people that are new, if you want to join us on the screen, like you see, just send us a message and we'll include you. So we definitely need to hammer that moving forward next week. What do we have there from Jim D?
Oh no, that was an older message.
Oh, older message. Okay. So guys, thank you very much for everybody that's gonna be listening to us later on. Thank you, watching us. Thank you for everybody that was with us live. Nothing but appreciation. And again, I'm ready for the crap storm that will come from my comments. I'm ready for it. And I'm a big boy, and I would like to remind everybody: you don't pay my bills, you don't pay me to podcast. I pay for my ticket, and I'm entitled to an opinion because we're in a free nation, and I make sure serving in the United States Navy that right remain. So, with that said, I would like to remind everybody that football is played on grass, not a paper. Football is cruel and unpredictable. Football is will make you cry for joy or anger. Football is football, and that's the way I like it. From myself, from Ahmed, from John, may God bless you. And as always, vamos, Orlando!